Was Kristine Barnett's abuse of Natalia the breaking point? Good American Family exposes a shocking truth. Good American Family dives deep into one of the most controversial adoption cases, the story of Natalia Grace. Based on real events, the show follows Kristine and Michael Barnett, an Indiana couple who adopted Natalia, a Ukrainian girl with a rare form of dwarfism, only to later claim she was an adult masquerading as a child. Their accusations spiraled into media frenzy, legal battles, and public outrage. And episode 7 of the Hulu series reveals a shocking confession after Michael admits that not only was Natalia indeed a child, but that Kristine had abused her. The revelation turns the story upside down, leading to serious criminal charges against the couple. The Hulu limited series Good American Family has reignited public interest and outrage around the story of Natalia Grace and her former adoptive parents, Kristine and Michael Barnett. With each episode unraveling more layers of manipulation, trauma, and controversy, the show's 7th episode marked a gut-wrenching turning point, forcing viewers to question everything they thought they knew. In the aftermath of Kristine Barnett, Ellen Pompeo, and Michael Barnett's divorce, Episode 7, If You Tell a Story Well Enough, revealed the emotional and legal breaking point after Michael confesses to Detective Drysdale, inspired by real-life detective Brandon Davenport. In his admission, Michael reveals that both he and Kristine knew Natalia was a child at the time of the age change, and that Kristine had physically and emotionally abused her. This moment, where deception and denial can no longer mask the truth, becomes the catalyst for the couple's criminal charges in the show, neglect and conspiracy to commit neglect. The series' narrative pivot stunned fans. Viewers who were initially led to believe Natalia might have posed a threat were now faced with a new horror that a vulnerable child had been systematically failed and discarded by those meant to protect her. The real-life legal consequences mirrored this dramatic shift, but the Barnetts were charged with neglect of a dependent and conspiracy to commit neglect of a dependent. While the series depicts Michael Barnett, played by Mark Duplass, confessing that he and Kristine knew the truth about Natalia Grace's age and that Kristine abused her, the real-life events remain complex and disputed. After legally changing Natalia's age to 22, the Barnetts moved her into an apartment and then relocated to Canada with their biological children. Natalia was later discovered living alone and eventually taken in by the man's family, who filed for legal guardianship, as per the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. Michael Barnett, however, objected to the man's family's petition, citing the court's prior age change ruling that declared Natalia an adult. The court advised the man's family to first pursue a reversal of that ruling before seeking guardianship. In 2019, Kristine and Michael Barnett were charged with neglect of a dependent. The high-profile case quickly drew national attention, with both parties accusing each other of wrongdoing. As per the Exponent, Michael Barnett was acquitted of all charges by an Indiana jury in late 2022. Charges against Kristine Barnett were dismissed in 2023 due to insufficient evidence. Since then, Kristine has largely stayed out of the public eye. The quiet neighborhood in Indiana had always exuded a suburban calm, lawns trimmed, minivans parked symmetrically, and holiday lights twinkling on cue. But behind the white picket fences of the Barnett household, a disturbing truth simmered, one that would eventually shatter the illusion of the good American family and send ripples of unease through the nation. For years, Kristine Barnett painted herself as the quintessential supermom. A published author, a motivational speaker, and a devoted mother of gifted children, her persona captivated daytime talk shows and parenting panels alike. But when news broke that she and her then-husband Michael Barnett had allegedly abandoned their adopted daughter, Natalia Grace, the world gasped. Natalia, adopted from Ukraine in 2010, was portrayed by Kristine as a fraud, a woman pretending to be a child with the intent of harming the family. According to the Barnetts, Natalia was manipulative, violent, and even homicidal. Kristine claimed the child scrawled death threats in crayon, poured bleach into coffee, and pushed her toward an electric fence. It all sounded too shocking to be real, like something pulled from the pages of a thriller novel. But that's exactly what Kristine wanted the world to believe. It wasn't until Natalia's harrowing interviews and court documents emerged that a counter-narrative gained traction. According to Natalia, she was no fraud. She was a child with a form of dwarfism, abandoned and demonized by the very people meant to protect her. What she endured behind closed doors was not the work of a manipulative adult masquerading as a minor, but rather the calculated cruelty of a family desperate to escape their responsibility. Neighbors later recalled unsettling memories. Natalia would be seen outside for hours, alone, in the bitter cold. She asked strangers for food. At times she limped, bruised, and disheveled, her eyes scanning the street like a caged animal seeking escape. Whispers grew. Why was a child living in an apartment alone? Why had the Barnetts legally changed her age from 8 to 22, then moved to Canada, leaving her behind? Kristine claimed it was all for self-preservation, but her elaborate accusations began to unravel. Forensic experts, child psychologists, and disability advocates began speaking out. Natalia was a minor. She was exploited. And she was discarded, one advocate said in a televised interview. This wasn't just neglect. This was abuse. It was a quiet but courageous Midwestern family, the Johnsons, who finally exposed the full weight of the truth. When Natalia was placed in their custody after the scandal erupted, they didn't buy into the myth. They welcomed her into their modest home, offered her a bedroom full of warm blankets and dignity, and most importantly, treated her like a child. We knew right away, Mrs. Johnson said, tears welling in her eyes. This wasn't some adult masquerading as a child. This was a scared little girl who had been through hell. She just wanted to be loved. Under the Johnsons' care, Natalia began to heal. She returned to school, made friends, and started therapy. Her laughter returned, timid at first, but slowly more frequent. She spoke of her time with the Barnetts with chilling clarity. The locked doors, the withheld meals, the constant fear of punishment for simply existing. Kristine Barnett, once celebrated for raising a child prodigy, now stood accused of systematically dismantling another child's life. What drove her to such lengths? Was it fear, narcissism, the insatiable need to curate a perfect family image? Kristine was obsessed with appearances, a former family friend revealed. Natalia didn't fit the narrative. She wasn't going to be the next genius on the cover of Time. She was vulnerable, disabled, and in need of care, and that didn't work for Kristine's brand. Court proceedings unearthed emails, journal entries, and video footage. Natalia, much younger than the Barnetts had insisted, was seen playing with dolls and struggling to open a juice box, hardly the behavior of a grown woman. And yet, Kristine insisted the girl was a sociopath, comparing her to fictional characters from horror movies. Public opinion shifted. The orphan narrative Kristine had championed was now seen as a grotesque deflection from the reality of child abuse. It became clear, said an investigator, that the Barnetts had manipulated the legal system to re-age Natalia just to absolve themselves of responsibility. But neglect is neglect, no matter how you doctor the paperwork. The breaking point in Kristine's carefully crafted illusion wasn't one dramatic moment. It was the cumulative weight of Natalia's resilience and the quiet bravery of the Johnson family. They didn't need cameras or book deals to validate their truth. They simply told it, and let Natalia live it. Natalia's story became a reckoning for how society views disability, adoption, and the fragile construct of the good American family. It was a reminder that evil doesn't always wear a mask. It sometimes wears a mother's smile, posts Pinterest recipes, and reads bedtime stories laced with control. In the end, Natalia Grace didn't just survive Kristine Barnett. She defied her. Now, with legal vindication and the support of a real family, Natalia is working on a memoir. The title is reportedly one word: Grace, a nod to her own name, and the thing that carried her through. Because the truth is, good American families don't always live in perfect houses. Sometimes they live in small homes with chipped paint and overflowing kindness. And they don't fabricate stories to save their reputations. They listen to those whose voices have been stolen and say, "We believe you." Would you like a visual timeline or mock magazine cover inspired by this story?